is Jacob Roden showing off the Prismatic machining workbench in CATIA 3D Experience. So here is my flattened student project tool holder base. You can see these are the holes where the plastic inserts for the tool holders go, and this is where the handle is. Now, traditionally with sheet metal, you'd probably be stamping these out in like a sheet metal machine and not doing any machining on them. But just for this example, we're going to be showing it in the machining workbench, just so that I can kind of show you some of the things you can do. So if you've seen my other videos on using the Prismatic machining workbench, it's pretty similar. We're just going to pop open and make a generic machine. And this is kind of making the parameters of the machine that you would be using and everything. Then we're going to do make a rough stock for this. Obviously, if you're using actual sheet metal, most likely it would already be the size and gauge and everything. But for this, we're just going to select this part body and make one. And you can see our parameters here. So we're going to add a little bit of height onto the Z. Not that much. Let's give it an extra 100 thou of height, and you can see now it's more thick than it needs to be, so we're going to have to face that down, and then I'll leave it like that, and then you can see these corners we're going to have to cut out, and then these slots and holes we would have to cut out and everything. So to show you just some things you can do, we're going to edit part operation, and then we're going to select our design part, which is this engineering project base right here. We'll double click to select that. Our rough stock will come over here, and isn't that going to select the rough stock? There we go. Select it in that window. And then our safety plane. Now, it's not shown right now, but I did make a plane about, I think, an inch above the part. Doesn't always have to be an inch. It can be whatever height, as long as it's going to be clearing any fixturing you might have. So say you had toe clamps holding this down to the table, then you'd want to make sure that this is going to be above any toe clamps or vice jaws or anything. And then for feed and speed configuration, we're doing stainless steel. We're doing different types of machinings. We're just going to go with undefined, and we're going to say that it's finished quality. And we don't need to select fixtures just because we don't have any right now. So we'll press OK, and that will define our part operation. Obviously, you can see the green check marks mean that we are not going to, it means that those are kind of finished already. So then we're going to make some resources, make our tooling. So for our milling items, because we're going to do 2 mills, for this example I'm just going to skip the drilling to kind of keep it a little bit shorter. But for face mill, you can see this is a large flat tool. We're going to make this 3-inch in diameter, just so that it can clear that whole face off a little bit shorter, or a little bit quicker. And then once this is kind of the dimensions that you need, you can press OK. And we'll also grab an end mill, and this will just say, we'll make it 1/2 inch, and then we'll make it no radius. So you can see it's not going to cut any radius into the part if we cut down at the tip and everything. And then we'll name this tool 1. And you can see here in our tool resources, we've got those selected. Then we can just close tool resource creation. And I'll say that yes, we've got our tools made. This is some optional feature recognition that would see automatically where there's holes to create those features, but we're going to go and manually make those features. So if we were doing some drilling, we could do our axial machining, but for this we're going to be doing our prismatic machining. So here, our first selection is going to be that facing pass, because we want to clear up all that material on the top and bottom. Let's hide. There. Let's hide this new part body so that we can select the proper planes and everything. So we're going to go to our facing, and then here it's going to bring up milling tool search, but we're just going to go and select tool 0. We do not want to continue searching, so you're going to press no. And here we're going to select the bottom plane, which is going to be the top plane of our finished part, so we'll select that right there. And then it's going to automatically select those red lines, that contour. We are going to delete that, and we're going to have to reselect a new contour so that the entire part gets cleared up. So let's close that out. And be careful if you're having to manually select a contour, be careful when you're clicking, because when you double click it will automatically close the contour tool and you'll have to go back and click it. So just click once and then give it a second if you miss whatever you're trying to click, and click again like that. But luckily it's not gonna, it shouldn't clear the whole contour. I guess I might. And sometimes it'll be able to propagate, but most of the time, at least since this isn't the use instance really of facing and machining on a big sheet metal part with all these different cuts in it, is a little bit more complex. But if you just had a piece of raw stock that was just a normal square on it, then you could just select that face once and it should automatically contour the entire thing. Or if you had a feature on that that was getting, say you had just this section that you were facing, you could just select that face and the auto grab on the contour would grab it all for you. All these other options right here are optional, so we're not going to have to worry about those, but for the sake of showing you, I will show the raw stock, and I'll select that top plane right there, and then we can see that that's checked out. And parameters, sometimes depending on what operation you're doing, different things will show for that. So over here we can see our tool. Obviously this is the correct tool. We have our geometry that's all selected. Here in strategy, these are the different tolerances, accuracy, the kind of way that you want it to go through and make cuts, the compensation, tool diameter, radius strategy, or radial strategy. Here is what I wanted to show. So for our maximum depth of cut, this is only doing about 20 thou. We're going to set this to do about 50 thou. And that's based on your feeds, your speeds, and the actual tool that you're using. Because obviously we can see that this height's about 200 thou. So obviously there's a maximum of around 200 thou that you can use, but we're just going to do 50 thou. And then for number of levels, we're going to say that it's going to do 2 levels. So we gave it an extra 100 thou thickness, and this will do 2 levels with a 50 thou depth of cut to clear those out. And then we have our different collisions and everything. And then we have our macros, which we're going to have to set. So our clearance is going to be already set since it's 2 safety plane. And we obviously have our safety plane selected. But our approach, retract, and linking, retract, and approach are going to have to be set manually by us. So here we can see that this is how the part's going to approach, and we select the safety plane, so that means that it'll approach down from the safety plane. And for our linking approach, since it'll be the same as the approach we did there, we can just copy and paste that over, and we'll do the same with the retract. And see, this is it retracting up to a plane, which for us is going to be our safety plane, so we're going to select that safety plane, press OK, and then for retract we're going to press copy, and we're going to paste it right there. And then once those 5, which are the typical ones that you'll be doing, are done, you can double check our speeds and feeds, which depending on what material and what kind of tool you're using, you might be needing to change and kind of get right fine-tuned. And then once those are all done, as assuming everything is in there properly, we can press simulate, and this will create our tool path, which you can see here. And if you look closely, you can see that there's 2 sets of lines. So this is the tool coming over and down, and then machining all of that, and then coming back up. So what we can do is, if we click right here, you can see the material removal deposition, which shows what the actual stock, our stock part that we made with that little extra thickness, what that looks like. And we can see as the part runs, or as the tool runs through its tool path, what that actually looks like. So we can see it doing those two paths. So we can always see there's one path of it coming in and cutting everything down. And then we can see it coming in. If you look closely on the side, you can see it coming in and doing another toolpath right there. And then it'll keep running until it has now set it to its kind of final part thickness. And then we can X out of that and we can press OK. And we can also see over in this tab, we can see the manufacturing program tool changes to tool 0, the face mill, and that does its facing. And here you can also do your simulation, so your collision checking, computer check toolpath, and if we were just facing, we could go on and generate our actual NC code. But we do have another thing you would like to do. So back in Prismatic Machine, we have our, right here, our profile contouring. So we're going to do between two planes, press OK, and it automatically selects the tool because we're still on the face mill, but we want to make sure that we go in and select our end mill, and we do not want to keep searching. And this will automatically bring up a tool change to tool 1, so that we're not going to have to manually put one in, and it knows to change over to a new tool. So now we're going to select our bottom plane, and for this, let's make sure that we hide that rough stock. We can select that bottom plane right there. We're going to make sure that it is a soft bottom, because we can see that's being cleared out. And for the guide, let's reselect that bottom plane over here, and hopefully it'll automatically contour update. So let's clear the guide out and then select over here. Actually, wait, I'll just do this the easy way. I don't know why I'm making it hard for myself. So if we close this and then just reselect profile with tool 1, between two planes, and then our end mill, don't keep searching, and then I can select our bottom plane, which here it's showing the bottom face. So if you were doing the inside of walls or something, you do it there. We can just do it right here. And then we can make sure that we select a soft bottom type, and then we got our toolpath direction style. If we were doing this with a radius cutter, so if that cutter had that corner down at the bottom, we want to make sure that we had some breakthrough, so that we're not cutting into this part with a, what's the word I'm thinking of, but we're not going to leave a radius on the outside right here. Let's also make sure that we go into our guide and deselect this inner section. Don't want to reset all, just this one. Can I deselect that one? No, okay. And then very quickly we're going to just select this, this, and this. And then we got our tool, obviously. Got our strategy, axes if you're doing multiple axes, and then we have our macros again. So we have our approach macro, which we're going to select and put in. So we're going to select this plane, and then select the safety plane, and then let's copy our approach, and then paste our approach, and do the same for the retract. Okay, copy that retract, paste that retract, and we got our speeds and feeds again, and we should be able to press simulate, and we should be able to watch, yep, the end mill come right down in there, and just get this side right here and give us those nice little corners that we want, which you can see right there and right there. And then obviously traditionally this would probably just be stamped just stamp those two little corners. And then we can move on to drilling those holes, or just taking an end mill and milling them out and everything. But this has gone on for a little long, so we will maybe show that another day. Or if you look at my other videos, you can see the drilling process and some of the other processes that there are. But if we press OK right there, obviously we can do collision checking to make sure that our tools aren't going to hit anything. We can compute and check our tool paths, and then we can go and generate our code. And here we can see obviously our facing from tool 1, and change it over to tool 2, and does that contour and everything. And that is the kind of some of the basic processes in the Prismatic Machining Workbench. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.